Here's our boy Luffy, ready to beat some ass. If you like this type of thing, remember to follow me on Google+, Instagram, Facebook, and the Twitter.
One Piece, Chapter 206, Ignition.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the epic and mind-blowing tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us wrapping up Volume 22, and the battle was raging on between Luffy and Crocodile, and as well as the Straw Hats and Vivi trying to feverishly find and get to the cannon that was located in the clock tower. The end of the volume wound up being we were revealed to Miss Father's Day and Mr. Seven, two Baroque Works agents who had not been seen up until now, and they were revealed to be the ones inside the clock tower as the face opened up, and there's just a brief countdown, a minute 30 seconds I think at the time. So before the cannon's going to be shot into the square, effectively killing millions of people. Luffy and Croc, of course, are fighting. Luffy has been poisoned by Croc's poison hook, and Croc's just like, why do you keep fighting? And Luffy, the volume ended with Luffy telling Croc, you just don't get it, So that's how things wrapped up in that volume. That's where we're going to pick up in here, and this is a good one here. It's got 11 or 12 chapters in it, which is pretty cool. You can just feel it's like a thicker volume, a weightier volume. So I don't know if this particular one is actually going to wrap up the Alabasta story arc or very close to it. I'm not really sure how that goes. So because obviously I don't read ahead, but we'll dive right in over here. And this chapter was definitely a fun one because it was split into two parts and went back and forth a couple of times. It first started off actually with a Baroque Works agent, one of the billions, we presume, going to the Marines and saying, "Oh, Baroque Works? What are you talking about? That's not even that's not even a real thing, And he's got Baroque Works written on his back, and he's trying to sell this line of bullshit to the Marines, right, and to the Navy. And Tashigi goes and just is like, just cuts his ass down, and they're like, Sergeant Tashigi, and she's like, you can't hesitate. She's like, you know what? Just use your gut instinct, so to speak. We don't have any time to be playing games about who's guilty and who's not. You think somebody's a bad guy, just take him out, and she looks up at the clock tower and she's like, we've only got seconds left before the whole area will be decimated if they can't stop them anyway. So then we go and we see everyone trying to figure out how they're actually going to get up into the tower. Of course, we have Sanji and Zoro at two different levels within the tower, but everybody else, Usopp, Vivi, Pell had been shot down, but Chopper, Nami, they're all down on the ground, and again, there's very little time to get up this enormous clock tower. The face had opened up, and of course, we're introduced a little bit more now to Mr. Seven and Miss Father's Day. As far as I'm concerned, very much throwaway, unremarkable characters, and that's just personal opinion. At this point in the arc, I could care less about these characters because I haven't seen them before. So it doesn't matter about their character design or their special powers or anything like that to me, because to me, in 30 seconds, they're either going to be defeated or dead or something of that nature. So just my 2 cents on that one. Opinions will vary. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and most of the time they stink. But that is, again, just my 2 cents on it from what I've seen. So we're introduced a little bit to them, and they're talking about they're getting ready for the countdown. They agree to do a countdown. There's 15 seconds left, and they decide to start doing a countdown. And then we go and we're taken to the mausoleum, and we see where of course Nico Robin has been stabbed and run through by Crocodile. King Cobra's sitting there bloodied and beaten, and Luffy and Crocodile are it's just this battle of the heavyweights, the clash of the titans, so to speak. And it's great because Croc goes and he's just like, what do you mean I don't get? What is it that I don't get? And he starts going into his monologue thing again about and Alabasta is this and people are that and people are nothing but pawns, and he basically just starts talking his shit again. And Luffy just comes at him and is just like, wham! And I mean just pops him, and it's really cool because the way that a couple of these scenes are drawn, they're just very, very, both the characters look like they've gone, 10 rounds, man, and are just bloodied and beaten and scarred, and it's just great, And Croc's talking about how, this poison's going to set in, and he's not going to make it out of this tomb alive, and this and that. Luffy winds up coming at him with the Gatling gun, which is great, you know, and he's nailing him with that. And again, just kind of a back and forth, but at this point, more looking like it's more shifted in Luffy's favor. You know, hitting Croc and making some connections with him, and just kind of pummeling him all over the place. We wind up then as well, and it skips back and forth a couple of times, goes out to the clock tower and then comes back. But I'm just going to describe everything that happens and talk about everything that happens between Croc and Luffy, because I think that was very significant. What winds up happening is Croc goes and again, it's just kind of, you know, telling Luffy he's not going to make it out of this tomb alive. He's going to die. He's going to this. And Luffy's like, you just don't get it, you know. He goes, I don't care. She's my friend. I don't care about you and your nonsense. I don't care about what you say with this. I don't care that you. And for Luffy, it's very single-minded, and it's he talks about how Vivi is always worried about others and other lives being lost, other people being hurt. She's putting her life on the line all the time, right? And Luffy's simple-minded way of thinking is that she's my friend, and if we don't help her by putting our lives on the line to help her, you know, with her goal to regain her kingdom, she's going to wind up getting killed. I don't want her dead. And then Luffy is just this great pose and picture of him and whatnot in there, and he's just like, because she's my friend, you know. So it's that simple-minded, straightforward determination that I really have to respect about him, because Croc's like, so your friends, I mean, you could make a friend or two here or there. Who cares if you lose when you make another one? That's what Croc's way of thinking is. You use people and you throw them away, and then you find more. And Luffy's way of thinking is and then he goes, so you're willing to die? And Luffy says, if that's what it takes, absolutely. We all are. So I think at this point, this is when Croc is probably starting to really get nervous and scared, because he'd been talking to Luffy before about how, I don't even know how you're still alive with all these wounds that you've sustained in our 3 battles. You know, you're poisoned, you know, these other sort of things. And Luffy's just keeps coming at him. So I think that, in my mind anyway, this is the point where Croc is thinking in his mind, oh shit, this is not going well, you know. So it's definitely, I thought, very good and very profound, the way Luffy said that, and the way it was just, you know, because I don't want her to die. She's my friend, you know. So I thought it was very, very cool. So then it winds up going, and again, like I said, back and forth a little bit, but we'll go now to what actually is happening. The countdown is on. There's 15 seconds left. We're back at the clock tower. Nami has Usopp full body cast and all, right? Even the cast around his nose, the bandage, looks like a mummy. Has him in this funny pose where he's just kind of like bent over, you know, doing one of these with his arms out, right? And she's like, just stand right there, stand right there. And he's like, how's this going to help things? She goes and she uses the Cyclone Tempo part of the climate baton. And you know, and Usopp's like, wow, that's just kind of like a party trick. What are you talking about? And Usopp starts raising up into the air. Vivi and Chopper are along with them. And what it winds up doing is she winds up creating this like wind upward draft type force, is the only way I can explain it. And then she's like, Sanji, you know what to do, right? And then as Sanji goes, and he kind of gets out the wind over there, and he kind of kicks them, you know, gently, I guess, kicks them up to the next level. Vivi's riding on Chopper at this point, because Chopper kind of joins in and jumps up there and gets into it. Usopp, it looks like, falls back to the ground, you know. So I think this is like a momentum force type thing, you know. It's like, okay, get up to this level. Sanji, kick him up to there, because then Zoro's like, all right, I understand. I'm ready for him. And it's funny because Chopper's like, yeah, what about that, your sword, you know? And he's like, don't worry about it. It's the back end of it. It's the dull end. Just hop on, you know? And he's going to go and fling them up. As this is all happening, we go to the top of the tower, and we see Miss Father's Day and Mr. Seven, and they're both like, oh my God, look, and they see that it's Vivi. They're like, oh, it's Miss Wednesday. Oh, you know, look at her. She betrayed the organization, you know. And I don't know what extent they know of things, what they've been told. They're talking about how they're going to go and fire this cannon. And the cannon's this big, overly goofy-looking thing that has a Baroque Works symbol on the side of it. You'd think if you were going to haul one of these things through town and get it up into here or whatever, you'd try to do something under cover of darkness and not exactly go and put Baroque Works in the back. But again, just kind of funny, some of those little things that are thrown in there. So these two are probably going to be blown to shit with everything else, but they're like, oh, we're going to get promoted for this one for sure. So Miss Wednesday, Vivi, she knows them from Baroque Works, right? Because, you know, she kind of even gets a warning from Sanji about, you know, be careful. Those are some nasty ones up there. She's like, I know them, right? And they go and they catch they see her and Chopper, you know, coming up, heading straight for them. and we wind up seeing, you know, it's very cool the way everything's depicted, because it's just one scene to the next, and I just picture this, and again, I can't wait until I see this in the anime. My family and I are finishing up Arlong Park, that arc right now, and hopefully as everybody's getting into it and we're finding more and more time to sit down and watch these, I'll eventually get to the point where I'm almost caught up to where I'm at actually in the manga. But definitely very cool the way it's portrayed. And she's like, Vivi's like, oh shit, you know, because they get catch sight of her, and he's like, they're both snipers, right? So, you know, one hit's gonna knock them out of the air, and this is all gonna be over. And the whole time everything's counting down, you know, it's at 12, 11, 10, 9. And I think the chapter winds up ending somewhere around 7 or 8 or 7, somewhere around there. It's time is very, very short. But Zoro goes and he says, I'm going to go and throw you in this direction or whatever, you know, to kind of dodge them or maybe get out of the way, to get out of their line of fire. But that's about all I can do. And so now it's Chopper and Vivi looking like that's going to get to the top. And it's going to be very fitting, too, if Vivi's the one to actually stop this and kind of save the kingdom from at least this part of the destruction. Because although she's not the strongest character, her heart and her resolve are very strong, and her heart's very big. And she certainly, I think, is a great leader, and you know, and really shows courage in the face of, you know, kind of certain doom, and really has a lot of admiration and respect from me. So I think it's kind of fitting that hopefully she's the one that actually stops this blast. Of course, that's how the chapter ends off, though, just kind of leaving us hanging on that type of note. And you know, we're left hanging for the next one, so as Oda does so well. So certainly we're looking forward to diving into the next one here in volume 23 as we're moving right along through them. And my chapter question is going to be, because we can assume at this point that Vivi is going to have a major hand in, if not being the catalyst for taking out these two Baroque Works agents and effectively saving her kingdom from millions of deaths. What do you think about that decision, Oda's decision with that? Do you think that is a fitting way to end at least this portion of the threat? You know, I'm not saying that the war is over, the rebellion's over, everything's going to be fine, but this cannon's going to be fired, take out everything in a 3-mile radius, millions dead. Vivi looks like she's going to be the one that's going to stop it. Do you think that that's fitting, or do you think it should have been one of the other Straw Hats? You know, what are your thoughts on that? Brothers and sisters, leave your comments and the answer to that question, of course, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, nation.
Oh, me so sexy. Oh, me so sexy. Oh, me so sexy. Me love you long time. What?